When you moved out of home for the first time, what didn't you expect? That I'd like my parents a lot more, seeing them only every now and then. How expensive living is. You never think about how much toilet paper or trash bags cost as a kid, and then you go to the store for the first time. Honestly, I didn't expect how much I would thrive. My parents were always rushing me out of bed, telling me when due to my homework, basically on my back about everything growing up. I was kind of worried that without that constant nagging and pressure, I just wouldn't function. Turns out when left alone, I do all that stuff, and more, just on my own time, and for the most part it works out nicely. I never slept through an alarm in college. I always got my homework done, got better grades throughout all of college than I ever did in high school. My dorm was always clean, especially by college dorm standards. Turns out I always was a very neat, organized, and focused person. I just didn't respond well to being told when and how to do it. How much more often I'd be completely negged. To feel homesick for the first week or so. But then the feeling of freedom is amazing. Enjoy. That feeling of pride a few weeks later when you look back and think, fuck me sideways, I'm living without parents and still alive. To be so fucking happy. Just remember to lock her doors and shit. How different having roommates is from living with your family. My family has always been pretty close, and when at home we would often all be in the living room interacting while doing our own things, and meals were often together. When I moved in with roommates, whom I knew beforehand and got along with, I almost never saw them. They mostly stayed in their rooms and we all had meals at different times, so there were not a lot of organic ways to spend time together. It was weird to feel lonely in a shared living space. The responsibility, the bills and having to fix problems. The little things I took for granted, having to buy utensils, cleaning supplies, trash bags, etc. But also, how much happier I was being able to do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. Realizing how anxious and insecure I am, and the intense depressive periods that followed. In short, I realized I wasn't nearly as ready to look after myself independently as I thought I was. There are a lot of positive responses here and I'm very glad for these people. But as someone who doesn't make friends easily and is just that bit slower when it comes to understanding how social situations work, it gets very lonely when you're entirely responsible for yourself with little social support on a daily basis. I'm just grateful to still have my parents who are immensely supportive, and I'm working to get to a state where I depend entirely on my own company for my happiness, as I'm realizing as I get older that having any sort of reliance on other people cripples me mentally. Bleak, but it's the truth. The freedom and independence that come when moving out is indeed enjoyable, but overall I have to say this has been my experience of it. How much cleaning supplies cost? I'm much more frugal now and clean with vodka and rags. My house is a bomb. I think that one thing I had not expected was loneliness. The reason that it was so unexpected is that, while I had a good relationship with my family, it wasn't as if I was constantly spending time with them. Somehow, though, the mere presence of my family in the same home, even while not in the same room with me, had apparently been something of which I was subconsciously aware. When I began to live alone, I was suddenly aware of the loss of that sense and, at times, would feel lonely as a result. To be honest, I did not expect to have that mic of freedom to do whatever I want and when I want. Even listening to loud music and speaking loudly is no problem at all. I moved into a dorm first and I didn't expect my roommate to have no respect for me. How much I'd miss prepared home-cooked meals as soon as I get home. I was so looking forward to deciding what I want for dinner or eating out and get what I want. But after a few months I realized how tired I was to even think about cooking and how unhealthy all those takeout food feels. How mundane my life would be, in spite of being able to do whatever I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do it. How freeing it is to jerk off in the living room. How much I enjoy not having to live with other people. Even if they are being totally respectful, quiet, and supportive. They are still just there. Personally, I really enjoy my me time, and while your life is going to get a lot busier with chores and responsibility, you'll still get a significant amount of me time. How quiet it gets. I have my parents and 3 siblings, so I was always used to having someone else with several pets at home. I work at night, so quite often I'm alone during the week while the roommates are at work. It was almost unsettling how empty the house felt for a long time. One amenity that it's easy to overlook when you first leave home is the convenience of laundry. It's amazing how even a small inconvenience related to laundry, having to paper load, take it elsewhere from your apartment, etc., can easily present what feels like almost insurmountable inertia until you are sleeping on your last set of sheets for months and wearing your formal wear on weekend because that's all that's clean. People change their tune on this one pretty fast, though, and prioritize convenient laundry options when they move next. I didn't expect it to be worse living with my new husband. Don't worry. It only took me 15 years to divorce his jerky face. How expensive food is, from a grocery store or otherwise. Also, grocery shopping is overwhelming. What do I buy? I can make anything now. I'm not working with what just shows up in my fridge. My only limit is my imagination and very small budget. Also, I didn't have to ask my mom before I got a cat, which was a weird feeling. When I started college, I didn't expect that my parents would drop in to surprise me twice during the first semester, and both times, find me playing pool in the rec center. You can feel really helpless and dramatic for few minutes just because you couldn't open the fucking jar. One amenity that it's easy to overlook when you first leave home is the convenience of laundry. It's amazing how even a small inconvenience related to laundry, having to paper load, take it elsewhere from your apartment, etc., can easily present what feels like almost insurmountable inertia until you are sleeping on your last set of sheets for months and wearing your formal wear on weekend because that's all that's clean. People change their tune on this one pretty fast, though, and prioritize convenient laundry options when they move next. How much work it is to just keep a house clean, even when living alone, really made me respect my mum more. I moved into a dorm in college. I didn't realize how much I like things clean until I saw how messy my roommate was. Beard shavings all over the sink every single day, trash never taken out, crap all over the desk, bed never made. To become a closet alcoholic. Didn't expect that there would be no shower curtain. I couldn't take a shower my first time in the apartment because the previous renters took the shower curtain with them, something I later discovered was normal practice. If moving in with a friend, you need to have an agreement up front about future scenarios. As in, you are either cool with them moving in their flings as long as your rent goes down, or you are not cool with it. And also define what move-in means. For example, she's not living here, she just sleeps over sometimes. I moved out of home and into basic training. It wasn't ideal. Shitty roommates. I was 19, the other 2 were 21. Dudes were man-children who didn't know how to maintain their home, do laundry, do dishes, or manage money. One dude freaked out because he was broke, but he bought a new Pokemon game on his Nintendo DS later that week. Dude never locked the door, knowing it was a bad neighborhood. One always had McDonald's, alcohol, American Spirit cigarettes, and pot on hand, but never had money for rent. Noped out of there and had no problems about breaking the lease. The sheer amount of different types of cooking oil and washing powder. It was just something that was always at home that I'd never paid attention to what I was using. I still cringe at the memories of 16-year-old me crying in front of bottles of oil during my first ever solo food shop. Luckily a woman stopped to ask if I was okay and possibly had her most bizarre food shopping experience as she spent the next 10 minutes explaining different types of oil to me. I now know a lot more about oil than I ever thought I would. Washing powder, on the other hand, I still have no idea about that shit and just get whatever is on special offer. Also keep on emergency toilet roll supply somewhere. You will run out at the worst moment. How much I prefer being alone. I have always had a roommate but never interacted with them, so I might as well be alone. I love it. Not having to tell anyone where I'm going, coming in at random times of the night. Like a couple nights ago I came back hammered and decided I was going for a run, so I did. Was still plastered and decided to go hop in the pool, so I did. I didn't expect how fucking useless most people are at household tasks. Maybe this was because most of the people I knew/met were students or my home life had a fair amount of responsibility, but goddamn. Full-on adults not knowing how to use a washing machine, how to use cleaning supplies, cook a simple meal or just routinely tidy up instead of living in filth for as long as you can until you finally cave like a game of chicken with your own standards of living. How quickly food expires. Turns out when you have 5 people in the house, it gets eaten long before it begins growing mold. When you're on your own, not so much. Bills. Also, when something breaks and you can't just yell for mom or dad to fix it for you. Oh, and that feeling you get when that toilet clogs and you know that you're the one who has to deal with all because you didn't spend a couple bucks for a poop knife. I assumed there's gonna be magical amounts of stress relief that was originally caused by being around the family. Taking a shit with the door open is amazing. That I had to clean the damned place. My worst fear was to get surprise visitors, especially if it was my mom. I live comfortably, I make enough for bills and groceries, but what I found out is how incredibly lonely I am. How great it felt to be on my own. The weight of having to pay for everything, but also being happy because I had so much more freedom and me time. How many things you forget to buy, legit forgot to buy any towels and didn't realize until after I had a shower. I didn't expect to be so afraid of the dark. That cheese would be so expensive. The importance of outlet placement in an apartment. First apartment had the most annoying outlet arrangement, like there would be 2 outlets for a room and they were 4 feet apart. The cleaning. Toilets get dirty fast, real fast. Toasters get disgusting as do microwaves. If you don't stop and pick something up or clean something, no one else will. That the refrigerator does not fill itself up, it seems. I didn't expect for my roommate to be extremely abusive. I'm trying my best to move back home as soon as I can. I can't live like this. Pro tip: if you have a bad feeling about someone before you move in with them, don't move in with them. Having to move back in about 18 months later. I only moved back in for about a year and then moved out for good, though. The stuff you need for ingredients and condiments are a costly initial purchase. Ketchup, mustard, mayo, salt, pepper, sugar, etc. Just the things you need to have in the fridge. Prepare for that cost. The price of cheese. The need to budget and live below my means.